This is the real deal, the melt up. I've been wondering for a while when we were going to start to get more of that type of real frothy activity. It's here. It was a broad-based rally today. It's going to take a lot more of that to get the equal weight in the Russell into anywhere worth talking about. This is still very much a tech story with NVIDIA coming out of the gate, semiconductors making a fresh new high. It's the type of action that opens up the door to more. So clearly the green light's still on stocks, because when you've got a breakout in chips, there's nothing more important. You've got the relative strength picking back up into overbought. That signals momentum. Now, we are getting to some pretty intense speculative behavior, though, which is different. I mentioned this firstly about a month and a half ago, but the valuations have really picked up a lot. As we also talked about today, VIX up, stocks up, oftentimes tells you that some of that call buying is getting a little bit speculative and no one's interested in the puts. So VIX right now getting driven by speculative upside perhaps is telling you that, all right, it's getting a little bit maybe out of control. Look at the valuations. Now, this doesn't mean it has to stop, because when you're in a melt-up momentum game, you just got to watch the charts. You can't really use any of the math or the financials, but it does kind of tell you here that we're in different territory than we were in the first quarter. This is from the Bloomberg forward PEs. NVIDIA 46, Apple 33, Microsoft almost 37, Oracle down at 22. Broadcom 31. The average for the S&P, the forward PE historically is like 17.5. So your big companies here are way above it. And this is continuing to have an effect on the index because of the market cap push and pull, the drag that's happening with all that coagulation at the top. And it's all in some pretty expensive territory now. What's also really important is that the consumer side is getting very expensive. Microsoft trading at 36 and Apple trading at 34 times 4. This is really elevated stuff. This chart goes back more than 2.5 years. So this is really getting to a point where you have to have some actual evidence. Look, we already got the evidence for NVIDIA. We've already seen that. It's a much more still reasoned move in the chip makers, because the big companies, the hyperscalers, the data centers, the giant corporations of the world, Amazon are delivering you everything, Facebook is providing you everything. They're just getting tools to do their job. Ultimately, that means they have to provide something to you, and that we haven't seen yet, that we haven't felt yet, that we haven't touched. The new iPhone, where is it? They're talking about 10% lift off in sales. People right now can't shop anywhere but Walmart. Well, I guess Costco too, because they can raise the prices. But we've seen pricing down. We've seen folks that are trying to save and penny pinch because all the economic data shows deterioration while inflation's still sticky. So that's where this does get a little bit more risky and a little bit illogical when it pertains to Apple, Microsoft, maybe Meta too in particular. When you get outside the chip trade, we just haven't seen the earnings growth yet. But that's a problem for a couple weeks from now. Tomorrow we've got inflation, and I still think that the macro takes second place to everything we just discussed in AI. But if tomorrow these odds of a cut go from 73-ish to like 100, then that probably is well received by markets, unless it calls attention to negative economic data otherwise in a slowdown. So watch the initial jobless claims. The worst situation would be inflation stays high and claims go up. That would be bad as bad. The second better option would be claims go up and inflation comes down. And the best case, of course, would be if claims look good, low, while inflation comes in low. That would be the market's dream right now. But unless you get a big swing away from this 75% range from September, the macro shouldn't matter so much, because the market's already chosen its horse. It's big tech, it's chips.